Hello, friends. Well, before you listen to our spoiler-free review of The Rise of Skywalker, I just want to say that I'm encouraging all fans out there, all Star Wars fans, to at least see this film once. At least once. I had to go see it twice because I wanted to better understand it, and I'm really glad I did because I walked away with a deeper appreciation after my second screening. No regrets. There's a lot of big payoffs for Star Wars fans in this film, without a doubt. The performances are amazing and it's visually stunning. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you have to experience this without a doubt. And yes, there's been a lot of negative blowback on this movie from critics and from people online, and Twitter literally blew up with just people just downright hating this movie. But I really think it comes down to the individual and how they're going to experience this through their eyes and through their ears and through their soul, to be honest. Star Wars historically has always been a very communal thing, but I really think that this film is kind of designed for the individual. I think things that resonate with me may not resonate with you, and vice versa. I think that everybody is going to have a very unique experience suited to them with this movie. So don't hesitate to go see this movie. If you're a Star Wars fan, you owe it to yourself to see it and to see the ending and to see all the threads kind of come together and see what the final payoff is. So if you've seen it, we want to hear about it. We want to hear about what your experience was, what resonated with you, what connected with you, what were the moments that had you laughing, crying, angry, whatever. I want to hear about all of it. I want to hear about the entire spectrum of emotion that you guys experience with this movie. So be sure to come see us on our Instagram at meanwhile_pod and share your thoughts and share your feelings. And I'm excited to announce that while we're doing the spoiler hot review, in the next couple episodes, we are going to do a call-in portion for the show. So we would love all of you guys to call in. We will be providing a number. So stay tuned for that. So with that said, enjoy our spoiler-free review of The Rise of Skywalker. Cue the music.
Meanwhile, back on the podcast, 4 colossal nerds named Saba, Chris, Christina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom. With their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls. They fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
Welcome back to another episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. I'm Frank.
I'm Christina.
I'm Saba.
Sorry, guys. This is the first time.
Should I say that I'm on a phone somewhere?
Yeah. We were good. Yeah. Well, let's just do that right now. Sorry to all the listeners. Saba is calling in for today's show because we are off our normal schedule. It's Sunday, and we just saw Rise of Skywalker on Thursday. And we really wanted to get into the booth and kind of tell you guys what we're thinking and how we're feeling about the movie. Chris is on his way here right now. So we're going to do 2 shows today. We're doing a spoiler-free version, which we're going to do now. And then the next episode to come after this, right after this, literally is going to be our spoiler hot review. So, whether you've seen it, we've got one for you. And whether you haven't seen it, we got another episode for you. So everybody's covered. So let's get into it, guys. This is the final installment of the Skywalker Saga. This is episode 9. This was supposed to be the exploding finale of this amazing film franchise. Something that's,
I mean, there were some explosions, so
yeah, there were quite a few. And when you think about it, how long it's been, like, this thing kicked off in 1977 and it's now ending in 2019. Like, it literally spans all of our lifespans. Like, I'm only I'm only 2 years past 77. So I've lived with this series my entire life. And Saba, you were introduced to it during the
like when in the 90s they re-released the box set, the like gold box
Right.
set, and I was like a little, like I must have been like 3 or 4 or something, and I watched A New Hope, and Luke Skywalker was probably like one of my first crushes. I would say he was very dreamy.
Christina, how did you get introduced to Star Wars?
I think I watched it with my dad for the first time on cable television, perhaps.
Which version was it?
The original movies.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
A New Hope it would have been. And yeah, I liked Harrison Ford. Me and my dad always used to watch Harrison Ford movies. So Harrison Ford, I had already fallen in love with him after I saw him as Indiana Jones. So I already kind of had a crush on Harrison Ford, which I didn't tell my dad because...
Is there any girl that didn't like Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones? Like, is there anybody you guys have ever talked to that was like, nah, he's not my cup of tea?
Oh, he's like so dreamy as Indiana Jones. Han Solo's like a bit of a bad boy though, so I think the Indiana Jones character is probably a better person to be crushing on, but definitely was still crushing on him as Han Solo. So
Gotcha.
Well, the really interesting thing about it now, though, so I have nieces and nephews, and they're getting into Star Wars now, and so my brother, they just watched A New Hope, and they don't know that Darth Vader is Luke's dad, and they haven't seen the second one yet.
Wow.
And I'm just like so waiting for their shocked faces for when they actually find out. It's crazy, like seeing it again, like living through them, I guess.
I guess it's funny that they kind of watch it out of order of how it was meant to be.
Yeah, they do, because like nobody in their right mind introduces someone to Star Wars through The Phantom Menace. Actually, wait a second. I did that. Yes, I did do that.
Well,
so
Frank, that makes
who
sense.
did you
That
do
checks
that
out.
to?
Shut up. So I have a niece and nephew. Well, they're my two best friends' kids, and they wanted to see Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted them to understand who Vader was before he became Vader. I wanted to understand the arc of his character, right?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It's technically meant to be shown that way.
It should be.
Now that
Yeah.
they did a prequel.
It really should be.
I was the
shown
opposite.
that
I was
way.
like, I want them to feel as much shock as possible. I want them to feel like their dreams have shattered.
Well, in a way, they kind of do become shattered, because like you definitely like Anakin as a character, and then when he starts to turn to the dark side, you're like, fuck. And then when he kills the younglings in Return of the Sith, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck happened to this
there's
dude?
no going
Were they
back from that.
confused that episodes 4, 5, and 6 looked dated compared to episodes 1, 2, and 3?
Kids can't really pick up
They
on
can't
that.
tell the difference.
No, they
Okay.
can't. They really can't pick up on
And
that.
I guess episodes 1, 2, and 3 would look dated anyway right now. So
Yeah, to a degree.
to them,
Yeah, to a degree. They haven't seen I don't think they've seen The Force Awakens yet. No, I don't think they've seen The Force
Okay.
Awakens yet. Yeah, they haven't seen The Force Awakens yet. So at some point, maybe during the Christmas holidays, I'm probably going to watch that with them, and then The Last Jedi, and then I don't think we're going to be taking them to the theater to see TROS, but yeah.
And
okay,
I have
so
to say though, I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. It was like after a few times that I watched
Which one?
it that I liked it. Star Wars in
oh,
general.
just the general franchise?
Yeah. Like when I first watched it, I was pretty young, so I was just like, whatever. Dad wants me to watch a movie. That's cool. And then at some point as a teenager, I was kind of like, guys, let's watch Star Wars. And then, yeah.
Do you guys have any bigger connection to it than just being a movie? Like is there anything deeper for you? Because there's definitely something for me.
For me, yeah, it is in a way, because for me, like I had like 3 older brothers, and anything that I could do that like involved them when they would include me in things was such a big deal for me, which is funny because I can't stand them now. In terms of that, like just being a part of that, and then sitting there and my brother being like, you have to watch these movies. And I remember sitting and watching them, and I don't know, anything like when I think of like my first sci-fi love, like when I think of my first fantasy love, I think of Narnia. When I think of my first sci-fi love and what got me into science fiction, like it's definitely Star Wars was like the biggest thing for me. So in terms of that, I guess that's like the deeper connection. Also Luke Skywalker being so dreamy, that always helped.
Yeah, I think I do like that it's a sci-fi movie. I always liked sci-fi. I used to watch a lot of space movies with my family. We like space. I don't know, we like talking about space and what's possibly out there and all the tech that comes along with it. We like discussing what's possible, not possible, and why, and the physics behind it. We're a bunch of nerds. But yeah, so there's that. But also like the space opera aspect is fun, and like the ties into politics and dictatorships and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
For me,
the action movie bits are fun.
For me, it was literally my guidepost as to what was good and bad, like what was right and wrong. You know, when I was younger, I wanted, like, by the time I got into school, the first thing I ever wanted to do was I wanted to be an Air Force pilot.
That's cool.
I wanted to go fight bad guys. Like that was like my entire childhood. Like I was obsessed with G.I. Joe and Star Wars and like all I wanted to do was go fight bad guys. Like anybody that was hurting anybody, or you know, terrorizing people, I wanted to be involved in stopping those people. But after obviously high school, you become quite disillusioned with, you know, war, the military. You know, there's not really any just fight to be involved in anymore. It's you know, you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons. Sorry, you have to weigh the truth and the untruths of, is this a just war? Like, you know, and that's when I lost my steam for wanting to be in the military. That was done. And then I started playing basketball, and yeah, so it was just, to me, it was, you know, it was a guidebook into, you know, what was right and what was wrong. Like that was kind of it for me.
So it wasn't quite a religion to me.
Yeah, it definitely has it definitely did have a religious impact on me for sure. Yeah,
I maybe had more of a connection to something like Sailor Moon and Power Rangers as opposed to that. They kind of, Power Rangers kind of made me want to learn martial arts.
Okay.
That and Mortal Kombat. I was obsessed with both of those. And yeah, Sailor Moon. We just used to play Sailor Moon a lot, and like I just loved everything about Sailor Moon. So.
Gotcha. Well, stay tuned for Christina's Sailor Moon podcast.
Saba will also be a co-host on that. But Frank, though, I think that's really interesting that you say that, the good and bad, because I still remember like the one really jarring moment for me from those movies was in Return of the Jedi, and when like Darth Vader removes his mask and you see the man who he was. And I remember thinking even as a kid, like, I'm supposed to hate this guy? Like it just so blurred the lines for me, because I was like, underneath this mask, he's this broken, frail man. So it was such a strange feeling. And I remember as a kid being like so confused, because it's like bad guys are bad guys and good guys are good guys. And then they show me this character. Anyway, it was like,
I remember being upset about how people were treating their family members, and this is like, show some respect for your
all right
parents.
So Chris just jumped into the booth here to join us
as a Force ghost.
Saba's also a Force ghost. Can you guys like see each other? Is that how the rules work? What
rules? Are there rules? Are we just tossing that out the window?
If I throw something at you, will you catch it?
We'll see. We'll see how J.J. Abrams feels that day.
Okay, so again, we're here to talk about The Rise of Skywalker. So let's all go around the room and give two positives, two negatives. Okay, for me,
I can do that.
Positive performances, some of the most like career-setting performances I've seen from these actors. Unbelievable. Adam Driver especially, amazing.
So dope.
Did so well. Daisy Ridley as well. John Boyega was actually surprisingly well this time, or surprisingly good this time around. The other positive, visually fucking stunning. Like visually stunning film. The shot design, the cinematography, the special effects, like it was just a feast for the fucking eyes, man. It was fantastic in terms of that. Negatives, it completely outdid what was great about The Last Jedi. Like, what was fantastic about The Last Jedi for me.
This is your positives, or
No, this is my negatives.
Just
Shut the
kidding.
fuck up. My other negative would be that it felt a little forced, and no pun intended. It felt a little forced to me. So just to kind of add some context here, I've seen it twice. Everybody else has only seen it once. But we all plan on going to see it one more time. But, so I had a little bit more time to kind of absorb some of the things that I kind of overlooked on my first viewing. So, Christina, 2 positives, 2 negatives.
I think I line up with you on what the positives are. So I did enjoy the performance and the acting from the main 3 characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did like the settings, like the way things were shot. Like, that was pretty cool. There's some pretty cool action scenes in there. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Negatives, dialogue. I was just like, there's just so many cringy lines that I don't know.
Are we talking about the comedy, or are we talking about something deeper?
Some of the comedy I didn't mind. Some of it got annoying.
Yeah.
They repeated certain jokes multiple times.
Yeah.
And certain statements they repeated multiple times to tell us something and reinforce that
the exposition
idea.
was very heavy,
and I didn't like that. It's kind of like,
you
can't just establish something by making everybody say
Thank you,
times.
Christina. I'm so glad we're on that page.
So there were a couple of things like that was annoying, and I didn't like that. Was that too negative?
No.
Oh, the second
Was
negative.
it too negative?
The second negative is, let me think. I did have more.
Well, I mean, those are two, like, bad dialogue and like bad setups for plot points.
So forced comedy, basically. Like,
yeah. So
yeah, okay. Chris.
So I do agree with you positives. But I'll list other positives because
Sure.
I don't want to just be myopic. But I do want to like reinforce that the visuals are fucking amazing in this movie. This is a movie that I would actually rewatch, even though like I didn't love it, just for visuals and just for the thing. The fight scenes, like I think like they have the best like fight sequences we've seen in this trilogy at least, and it made a lot of sense. It informed a lot of their it was actually accurate to how it would work, unlike the other two in my opinion. We can get into that later. You said acting. I was gonna say acting too. They did go to, at least with some of the characters. I did like where they took them, like character arc wise. At least they
Who
didn't throw away Finn.
Yeah, okay.
I think they could have went somewhere better. Like there was an unfinished thread from Force Awakens that I thought they should have picked up on. They didn't. They went a different way.
Right.
Finn and Poe. And for the most part, for the first half, Kylo Ren, even though I won't say anything, but even though like they did a massive mistake with Kylo Ren, and negatives, I think the film was like I sat there and I looked at the film and I saw the business side of that film. I wasn't looking at the art. Like I saw the business side of this industry rear its ugly head while I was watching this film, because it was like it kept taking me out of the film. I kept going, oh, so they're just making a statement. They're just making statements now.
I felt like there were a lot of plot holes too.
Yeah,
so I think
exactly.
that's where the business end comes.
And then my second negative would be like the plot. It just it just ran over itself. It was so fast paced, and it didn't know there was just so much they had to do that they just kept running, and it was like a stampede of like these plot points, and you never could sit down and enjoy a scene because it was like, oh, up to the next one.
Yeah.
I thought the plot was all over the place.
Frank, there was a lot of plot holes left from The Last Jedi. They never told us like how certain things went.
Well, it wasn't that they didn't tell us. It was almost like they completely retconned it.
Yeah.
Was, and I've got some very specific things that I think hurt the franchise. Hurt the franchise.
Thing.
Oh, 100%.
There was one character that was not done justice in this movie. So.
Okay.
Not just one, but I think specifically, yeah.
At least one.
Well, we'll definitely get into that for sure. Saba, what do you think? 2 positives, 2 negatives.
Okay, I agree with a lot of your positives. I feel like I don't as strongly dislike the movie as you guys did. Even after watching it, there was things that I was like, whatever about, but I still feel kind of okay about it. I guess so. My first positive. I mean, performances and everything is great. I really do love locations that they went to. That was one thing that kind of like, not that kind of I didn't like as much about Last Jedi. I wasn't really into the locations they were going to, but I love exploring like these different worlds. I love seeing them. So that was really good. And then this is not really a spoiler, but I really like getting like the core team back together. And you kind of see that in the trailer as well. I think they all really shine when they're together. And I think that's something I also missed in the previous movie. I sort of seeing them because I think they really work well with each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
I also like that not every character had to have a romantic storyline or finish like that kind of.
Yeah, the internet didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get a bum sex scene with Poe and Finn. So
oh, don't worry, I'll find that fan fiction somewhere.
Man.
Someone wrote that. It exists.
Oh man.
But as for negatives, my negative is the same thing, and I kind of said this to Chris after we finished watching the movie. Is that the time for the story wise? I think if they had 2 movies to sort of delve into this story, it would have just been really, I think it would have been so much well done because we could sort of sit in those moments longer instead of sort of having to jump to the next one to finish the story. I do understand it's a trilogy and they are trying to cut it off, but that was my main thing. I was like, and then again, I'm not a big hater, but some of the Force stuff in there, I was like, okay. And I'm one of the persons who gives I give a lot of benefits of the doubt when it comes to these things. So even for me, I was like, some of the stuff with the Force or how they used it in terms of things that happened was
you're getting into dicey territory there. Just pull it back. We don't want to go. We don't want to go spoilers hot.
Not yet.
I'm not going to say anything else. Just like in terms of what
I also agree with you there. I just didn't want to say that because I thought it would be too indicative of.
Is it too spoilery?
Maybe. But I get your point though. Well received because I also feel that.
Okay.
Sorry if it's spoilery, guys.
Okay, so
it's all good.
Out of 10, what are we ranking this film?
Man, I don't want to do that.
I'm saying
it's too hard for me to quantify.
I'm saying about 6.5. 6.5.
4.5. There's so many things I love about it though.
Yeah, I could do 7 just because
You're gonna do 7?
I did enjoy it, but I did find that there were some plot points that I felt were missed, but I could do 7. I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I think I'm like 6.5 to 7. I think I would be in that range. Maybe 6.5.
The thing is, there are things I love about it, but when something falls apart, it's just like I don't want to say 4.5.
You know what?
Or
no,
5.
I'm gonna go with 7.
Yeah,
I'm going with 7.
For me, if they had leaned into the story that was left by The Last Jedi, I would have loved this movie. I would have fucking loved it.
I think that's what felt awkward about it. That was kind of
it definitely felt awkward.
Yeah.
Like,
this is something I said to Chris after we watched this movie. I said it like pretty much right away. I was like, I feel like with this movie, you didn't need to see Last Jedi to understand it.
Except for one plot point, everything else you didn't need to.
You didn't. You only needed to see The Last Jedi to understand why, like how J.J. Abrams just shit all over The Last Jedi. Like, that's it. Like, if you didn't see The Last Jedi, you walk out of that movie going, hey, that was a cool film. But if you had the pretext of The Last Jedi, you're like, oh, he just shit all over The Last Jedi.
Maybe if this was the only Star Wars film you ever saw and you didn't know any of the lore or
Maybe.
Then you would be like, oh yeah, it was cool. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Maybe. But yeah. Okay, cool. So in terms of any other spoiler-free things that we can say, is there anything else that anybody else wants to add?
I mean, it's hard without
spoiler
spoilers.
free. It's hard because I'm like really afraid of saying something. I will say overall, I did not hate this movie. It wasn't my favorite Star Wars movie. I understand it's a finale. It's supposed to be like the big bang in the end, but I think with what was given, I don't know if there was any way where they were gonna make a movie that everyone enjoy. I don't know. You guys will probably definitely debate me on that in the next episode and be like, here's what they could have done. Here's what they could have done. So there's that. But
okay,
yeah, that's my final feeling on it.
Okay, what were the fundamental movie making flaws in this movie? Chris, I'm going to go to you first.
They did not set okay. So I think I can say this without being spoilers.
Yeah.
So they figured out a mistake that they were making before, which was let's just introduce new shit and not explain it. And then they figured out that they made this mistake, so they're like, okay, so we need to make an explanation for things. So instead of making logical explanations, they're just like, as long as we reference something beforehand, we can get away with anything. And that's what they did. They talked about it in one line to justify every stupid thing that they did in this movie.
Which is what got annoying about
It
the
got
dialogue.
so annoying, yeah.
Too. That's why I said dialogue, because
Like, I'm like, you can't just pull it out of thin air and say you can't call us out on it because we mentioned it earlier in this movie. You can't do that. That's not how it works.
Right.
It has to fit in the world. And I can list like a few of them at least. And it's like, it's not just because I know the lore of Star Wars and I know where it should, like, wherever. Like, I don't want to like put any ownership, like, oh, I own Star Wars, whatever. But like it's not just because I love this franchise. It's just a classic movie making mistake to just make a one-liner explanation to something that never existed before.
Yeah.
And then, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And here's a solution to big plot points.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that really annoyed me too, because instead of just like using the dialogue to either advance the story or
characters,
strengthen the relationships between your characters, they used the dialogue to like explain
justify things later,
or
right?
justify things, and that was weird. And then you're saying that they made a mistake where they kept introducing new shit. They kept introducing new shit again. It's like it's the final
last movie.
Why are you introducing new shit?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
and
I definitely
know why.
see that.
I know why they're doing it. It's a plug for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be.
That's the other thing.
Star Wars is not done. There's going to be more stuff.
Well,
it's
we definitely know that because of The Mandalorian, and before like even The Mandalorian starts, there's this new title card that they have, right? So that's going to be used in other places, obviously, right? Like, you know, they're getting together, they're branding, they're marketing, they're moving in a new direction, without a doubt, right? Like the Obi-Wan series is coming out.
And apparently the Mandalorians made jetpacks readily available.
What? Oh, the jet trooper.
wait, that's
right.
spoiler.
Spoiler, okay.
Spoiler. Anyways,
Wait, I might cut
sorry.
that.
We'll cut that.
Okay, so one of the things that was a glaring failure to me was the pacing of this film.
Oh, yeah.
It was breakneck. Like it was literally breakneck. There's one scene between two characters where there's literally a fundamental shift in that person's attitude and personality within a minute, like within like 3 or 4 minutes. And that just doesn't happen. Like that's just not realistic, right? There's too many twists, way too many fucking twists. And there was too many MacGuffins. And honestly, I really felt like the Emperor was more cheesy than he needed to be. I think there was a better way to do that. And also, I definitely think that this thing echoed almost every OT movie. It had beats from all of them. Like you could see beats from all of them.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not, but there's ones that are so glaringly obvious
Right.
that are almost like shot for shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And JJ's got this way of like ruining his own little surprises by the way he shoots things. Like he puts too much information in the frame, and you can sit there and predict what's going to happen next just by what he's throwing in the frame, right?
Right.
He's not learning. He hasn't learned what to subtract from it to kind of be able to subvert expectation, right? That's what I like about Rian Johnson. Like he won't put too much information in the frame and like have you already creating the story in your head going, oh shit, this is what's going to happen next, right? Like I predicted almost half of that fucking movie, right? Sabo, go ahead.
Well, this is what I was going to say in terms of the story. So I would love to see what JJ's original script was for the second one and see if that would like lay the groundwork for this one. Because what it felt like was kind of like a fight in the director's room. And I'm blaming like both JJ and Rian Johnson on that, because one thing that should have been done is that there should have been a continuous story laid out. It shouldn't have been like, okay, well, I'm done this part. You do what you do on that part and I'll do what I do. It's like you're finishing a project and you don't have like enough things. So everyone just does the part and hope they fit together.
Well,
you know? And I think that's like a collective problem. I don't think that's just a JJ problem or just a Rian Johnson problem. It's a both of them problem.
Right.
Because this is what I'm saying. I would have loved not the full direction of this movie, but I liked some of the stuff that did happen. I was like, I do understand the story, like how that could be a cool thing. But the main thing for me was, because it was all in the last movie, it just felt like, oh, we have to introduce this to tie this up. We have to introduce this to tie this up.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate the devices that they introduced.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the way or the manner it was done in because it was very quick, which is why I'm saying I don't actually hate this movie. I just felt like JJ was like, oh, this is my original vision. I'm going to finish it this way. And I don't know if that's right or wrong comparing to like if he should have done sort of finish it the way Rian Johnson wanted him to finish it, whatever way that would have been.
I think he had to be less stubborn. I think he had to give up some of his ideas because the second movie existed, so he had to go with it. Well,
that's exactly right. He's trying to pack 3 movies into 2, right? Like he's just jumping off from his like where The Force Awakens basically ended, not really carrying much over from The Last Jedi except for a couple of expositional things. And you know the Octo thing, the you know all the shit that Luke did on Octo, sorry.
That's too hard.
Octo is not a spoiler. It like everybody knows that Octo is in this movie. But like there's certain locations that were used from Last Jedi in this film, right? And it you know it does feel like they tried to cram 3 films into 2 and basically ignored Johnson's film in terms of the information.
It was written in a corner in a lot of respects. Like there were so many things.
Johnson was written into a corner.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Force Awakens
Chris,
was open-ended.
Chris, let's save this for the Last Jedi episode because like I already have my argument in terms of how Johnson got written into a corner.
If you think this movie started off from an open-ended ending from The Last Jedi, that's a different problem. That's a writing problem, my friend.
Right.
Because there's a lot of corners he was written into.
Sure. But also JJ wrote Ryan into corners as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But the fault doesn't lie at JJ's feet and it doesn't lie at Rian Johnson's feet. It lies at Kathleen Kennedy's feet, okay? She was in charge of this project. The fact that she didn't have her group of directors come together and go, hey guys, we're going to tell them, you know, we're doing a trilogy here. Let's all get on the fucking same page. Let's all be involved in the character development. Let's all be involved in the story development. Let's all be involved in all aspects of this film together as a cohesive unit, right? The fact that she didn't do that is a fundamental failure on her part. 100%.
Yeah,
I don't think you can put it all on her though, because JJ and Rian Johnson both have strong. JJ especially has a strong personality as well. Like all 3 of them are kind of in on this. Like definitely, yeah, for sure, she does have some of the fault. I don't think it solely falls on her though.
Yeah,
I think it's like
but she's the gatekeeper. She's the gatekeeper of the universe, right? George Lucas passed on Star Wars to her, right? And when it came time to do another trilogy, she should have picked all the directors at the same time or picked one director to do all 3 movies and sat them down and came up with a fucking cohesive story.
Honestly, like too many freedoms were given in the wrong places in terms of the right. Like I don't know if it's Kathleen Kennedy, but it's definitely an admin problem, and she is the top admin, because the main problem here is that like they were given too much freedom on how they can write and not talk to each other, when really it's like they should have been given rules. It's like you guys can write your own scripts, which is the big freedom that they were all given, but then you have to like confer with each other, right? Like that's the big actual problem, right? And it's like it's easy to say Kathleen Kennedy for sure, but it's like it's an admin problem, and I like it's probably not just her, right? But like like she does give the green light at the end of the day. But yeah, like it's like they gave freedoms in the wrong places, in my opinion. Like,
yeah. Well, the hilarious thing about this is, okay, so I don't know if you guys, this was your takeaway from The Last Jedi, but Rian Johnson did not appreciate the rehash. He did not appreciate the New Hope retread, right? Without a doubt. Because he killed everything that was a retread of the New Hope. He killed the mask. He killed, you know, the old order of the Jedi. Like literally trying to kill the old order of the Jedi, right? He was trying to progress everything in a new direction.
Well, it was
right?
weird that he did that if he wasn't the director of the last movie.
Exactly.
No, but
like you say, J.J. Abrams shot on Rian Johnson. Who did it first, though? Rian Johnson shot on.
I'm not saying he didn't do it, but what I'm saying is JJ's Force Awakens was just rehash shit. That's all it was. Like it's not a bad movie, but it is a New Hope, beat for beat, like beat for beat. It's a New Hope.
Listen,
Right?
It is not a beat for beat New Hope.
Yes, it is.
It is
And
very similar. I enjoyed Force Awakens.
I can almost
it really
draw-
gave me a
Force
lot of
Awakens
hope.
a lot.
I can almost draw a roadmap, and the timing
doesn't
will
matter.
almost line up
Listen,
precisely.
It doesn't matter. Okay, listen. Like they tried to rebuild the same feelings we had when we were watching the old. It
I
was
get
trying to
that.
bridge generations.
I get
and
that.
this was like I get it. They were playing safe, right? This is your main problem. Is they were playing safe.
Yes.
But if they didn't play safe, this entire project would have been tanked. Force
don't know
Awakens
that.
did it 100%.
You don't know that.
People are hating like The Last Jedi for this exact reason because they went the complete opposite way. They just went, okay, you're not going to predict
Did
anything
they
in this
go-
movie.
Did they?
What?
Did they go in the complete opposite direction?
Yes, they
There's still
just subverted
echoes.
they just subverted all expectations of everything without any real plot points.
Okay, listen, we have to do a Last Jedi episode,
Yeah.
okay? Because like we obviously see things.
But listen,
Very
like you're just
differently.
like you're saying that
Yeah,
like
this is the Rise of Skywalker. Okay. So back to
Oh,
what is that?
I don't know. What is that?
I don't know. Oh, sorry guys, we had a little technical difficulty for a second. It's gone now. I don't know what the fuck that was.
That was weird.
It sounded like someone was fluttering in my ear. Sabo, you weren't like doing a raspberry on the phone, were you?
I have it on mute when I'm not speaking.
Oh, okay. All right. So, right. So, yes, I think it's Kathleen Kennedy's issue, and she is definitely going to be held responsible if this movie doesn't clear the box office the way that it's expected to, without a doubt. Like,
Yeah, I felt like
And-
there was a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
So,
and I've been
but
saying
I would
this.
agree that like if two people are really hot-headed, it's going to be really hard to lead them and manage them.
For real. No, I don't doubt that. But she holds the gates to the IP, right? So if they don't want to do Star Wars, don't do Star Wars. You know, but there has to be
I
something.
think the issue was having different directors on different movies.
Exactly.
Like, why would you do
Exactly.
I mean, that not necessarily
that? Of a
just that.
trilogy.
Or
Why would you
having
even do
having
that?
a collective vision.
Like yeah, having two directors isn't necessarily a bad thing if
No,
they fucking
but-
talk to each other.
Then
Yeah,
have
exactly.
two directors on all three movies.
Mhm.
Don't have two
Yeah.
directors.
Yeah.
Or have the first director co-direct the second movie.
Yeah.
Or at least have a script that you're using for each one
Yes.
that is
Yeah,
cohesive.
there should
have
That's
been,
my
like-
main thing.
There
Yes.
should have
You
been
can have different
boundaries that they
directors.
couldn't cross.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, there should have been.
100%.
They should have like made plot points that can't be like undone, kind of thing.
Actually, Saba just hit the nail on the head. If they had done, if they had hired an outside writer to write all three, and then had Johnson and JJ exclusively just direct, we wouldn't be in this fucking problem.
Yeah, but I like the idea of having like see, that's the thing. It's like they gave the freedoms in like they gave freedoms too much on one thing.
Yeah.
But like giving directorial freedom is a good thing. They just should have had boundaries on what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like listen, there's a beginning point and an end point. Anywhere in the middle is your playground. The
Yeah.
beginning and end point, it's like Kathleen Kennedy says, it's like it needs to be this way because the next guy wants it this way.
But
Right,
it
that
does
should have
almost
been it.
feel like nobody cared about how
Yeah.
it works as a trilogy. They
Mhm.
just wanted each to
Yeah,
maximize
yeah,
profits on
100%,
each movie. So
yeah.
that comes back to what you said. It's almost like they didn't care as long as the movie makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Especially this one, like near the end of this one, I felt like I was watching a commercial. I'm like, are you doing a fucking featurette on Disney Plus?
That is what it
Like,
felt
what the fuck?
Yes.
Like, especially in the end. I'm like, what the hell is this shit? I'm like wondering, oh, this character, it's not a surprise that they introduced characters. Like, this character is going to be important probably. And they were mildly important, but at the end, I'm like, oh, I get it. You're fucking introducing people here
Right.
so that you can make shows for them
They're
later.
gonna make
That's
like 5 shows just based on this last movie.
Yeah.
right.
such
right.
a commercial.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, let's go with one more thing. The new characters introduced into the Star Wars world. Did you guys like them?
I liked them, but I didn't like how they were introduced.
Okay, so we got
And
Carrie.
when.
So we got Carrie Russell as Ori Bliss. We got Babu Frick. I don't
Are
know
we
who
allowed
did
to
his
say
voice.
This? Is this going to be a spoiler?
It's on IMDb.
No, it's on IMDb.
Okay.
There's Babu Frick. There's Dio, the new droid. There's Jana, which I really liked her. I thought her
Yeah.
story was fantastic. Played by Naomi Aki. And then there was Dominic Monaghan, who really didn't do anything in this film, to be honest.
That was surprising. That was the only thing that really took me out of
Yeah.
it. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Who?
and Dominic
Which one?
Monaghan, the guy that was within the Resistance, the scientist.
Marion Pippin and also in Lost.
Yeah. And
Also a Heroes guy.
who am
Matt
I
from Heroes,
Yeah,
the fighter, the
Who?
fighter pilot. Matt from
Right.
Heroes.
Oh no, he's in Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, but
Snap-
that's true. That's
Snap
true.
Wexley.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then
For
there
the-
was Admiral or General Pride, Commander Pride. I can't remember. Played by what's his face. Shit, I can't remember.
I'm gonna say I actually liked most of the characters introduced. I really liked Zori Bliss. I thought she was really cool.
Yeah, Zori Bliss was dope.
Anna was cool. Babu Freak was also like cool because they didn't overdo him. They just had him in just enough. You know what I mean? Because it's very easy to like overdo sort of those type of characters. But I did like the characters that were introduced.
Yeah.
They did all seem like they were pretty cool. Jana seemed pretty cool too. I do like her story about these other stormtroopers.
Yeah, Richard E. Grant played General Pride. He was really good. I really liked him. He was a cold ass motherfucker. You know what? He could he almost had Tarkin's energy. Like he really did. He had a lot of Tarkin in him. I really liked that about him.
And then
I thought it was a really weird, that guy in particular. Sorry, Christina, go ahead.
There's some characters that weren't in the movie that maybe should have been. Because do you guys remember the kid with the broom at the end of Last Jedi?
The broom
No.
kid?
They gave him a name, Canto Bite.
No, that's the name of the city
that's
he was
the
in.
Oh,
name of
wait,
the
wait. What was his name? I know
Tamiri Blag. Tamiri Blag.
Yeah, Tamiri Blag. Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a name.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what happened to that kid? Like, why did they do that? Why was it such a big deal?
Yeah.
I like that. It's for me that kind of showed like there's still hope out there, even though everything
love
was
that
like
part.
destroyed.
But
I
so
love
that
that
means
part.
that there's going to be another trilogy
I love
based
that
on
part.
that kid, right? Or a show based on that kid.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I really love the reintroduction of Lando. I thought Lando was amazing in this movie. I really loved seeing Chewbacca, and I think Junis did an amazing job. Obviously, with the passing of what's his face, Peter Mayhew. Junis had to kind of step up, and I think he did a great performance. I think there's one emotional beat in there that fucking that guy. You know
Chewie
which one
was
I'm
the
talking about?
Yeah.
You know which one
Chewie
I'm
was the
talking
most
about?
emotional character. Like none of the other characters really matched up to Chewie's one scene.
Yeah,
and it was like such a shame. Actually.
It was heartbreaking to see that scene. It was heartbreaking.
For me, if we're talking about new characters, I was intrigued by almost every single new character, but like that was it. Like it just intrigued me, and then by the end, it was like, oh, okay, so they're just introducing characters for no reason.
Yeah. I
And-
think what bothered me is we know that they're gonna give us the background
Yeah.
somehow.
No, and it's
either
like-
it's gonna be some other form of
Yeah.
media
And I just felt like in the story, I was like, cool, new characters. Like you're expanding the world kind of late, in my opinion, but whatever. You're introducing really new characters, but you have to turn that intrigue into something substantial. And then by the end, I'm like, oh, it's a business thing. Okay. And then it just took me out of the movie. I'm like, they're just doing commercials.
Yeah, it felt like some of them were maybe supposed to be love interests for Poe
Yeah.
and Finn, because Poe and Finn didn't seem to have a love interest or whatever. Well, we
Well,
know
Yeah, I was
Finn
so
did,
nervous
but-
for that. I'm like, don't
Janice-
do that.
That's what
Jana's
it kind of felt
Jana's introduction made sense, I think.
Yeah.
Babu Frick's introduction obviously had a role in it. Zori Bliss, not so much a role as kind of like a facilitator,
Yeah.
to kind of create, a relationship that would help push the story along. But yeah, I really did like the new characters. And
I was afraid that the droid was also like a marketing thing, but it was thank God it wasn't.
Yeah.
The new droid, I thought they were just like, oh, we need a new toy out there.
yeah, no, but he had
But he had a thing. I was actually happy
yeah,
about that.
was kind
Guys, I think we're getting dangerously close to spoilers, guys.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
yeah,
listening to this
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
well, we're just saying things. We're not giving specifics.
No,
so,
but yeah.
okay, so before we go, how do we feel about Ian McDiarmid back as the Emperor? I thought it was a great performance. I'm not saying I liked exactly what they did with the character, but his performance was fantastic.
Oh, Ian McDiarmid
Yeah,
I mean,
was amazing.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, he's
Wasn't
always
amazing.
good. He's
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's wrap this up because
And
I think we
didn't
want to
talk
go.
about Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren also had a great performance.
No, we did. We
Oh,
talked.
did.
Yeah. Me and
I
Chris
thought
said
it- I
Adam
thought it was
Driver was
cool.
amazing
yeah,
in
yeah,
this.
she was good.
So let's end this and let's go spoilers hot because I think we have a lot to talk about, a lot to say. So thank you guys for joining us. Definitely tune into our spoiler hot review once you've seen the film. And so I'm Frank.
Christina.
Chris and
Saba.
Saba.
Saba from the phone. So yeah, guys, thanks. Tune in next time, and yeah, peace.
Later, dudes.
Later.
Bye.